one of the greatest thought leaders of our time, in my estimation, Dr. Darius Daniels, had a conversation about tough talks. He said that most people don't like having tough talks. Some people do because they don't mind being argumentative or letting their point be heard, but he said most people don't mind having tough talks. Number one reason is because they're rather passive aggressive. They don't want to put people out there or say certain things, and so they'd rather just kind of let things roll by, but then drop small things. Another group is people because they know that they don't have empathy, or they have no intentionality, or they kind of have no feelings, that they know that it's best not to have certain talks because of how they respond to certain situations. And his whole point was the road to real relationships is having, and it requires tough talks. The road to real relationship requires tough talks because we're all human, we're all different, and at some point we're all going to do something or say something or respond in a way that the people that we're in a relationship with, that they don't too much like. And it's important that when those moments happen, that we take a moment to have tough talks. One of the issues that I see happening with people today, and not just today, but happening within our African American community, is we offend people, and we don't even know we offend people because that's how we've always done it. We've always talked that way. We've always lived that way. We've always said that. And so we go about and we go around not addressing how we were offended, not having the tough talk, because we've always been that way. We always talk that way. We always play that way. That's just how my family is. But because you've been offended by it, but you've never had the tough talk about it, at some point you can become bitter. Yeah, you can become bitter, you become irritated, you become frustrated. And so as you get older and you change your scope and you change your way of living, then you stop coming around and you become bitter towards people. But here's the crazy part, or here's the interesting fact. They didn't even know that they offended you because you never had the tough talk. You never said, you offended me. You never said, you bothered me. You never said, you hurt me. Or you could be part of that group where to respond and say that you were offended, especially when it comes to someone who's older than you, that means you're being disrespectful. You can't say certain things because that's disrespectful. You don't tell anybody that. You don't say this or you don't say that, and it becomes a space in your life where you can't say anything, you can't question things, you can't ask things, you can't feel certain ways because you're disrespectful, because young people shouldn't tell an old person, you hurt my feelings. You should just take it on the chin because that's the way that we were raised. We were raised that way. And so we create a group of dysfunctional people growing who don't know how to have tough conversations, don't know how to have the needed conversation, because either it is that's the way we've always done it, or you can't say anything because they're a leader. You can't say anything because they're older and you don't speak to your elders that way. So what Dr. Daniels did is he gave three tips for tough talks. 3 tips for tough talks. Number 1, he said schedule a conversation and describe the setting. Have the conversation. Say, I'm going to have the conversation at this time. And then when you have the conversation, then you describe to them what happened. Before you get to what happened, you describe to them where it was at, what was going on, when it was, to bring it back to their remembrance. Because we must know this, sometimes people don't remember, especially when it's what we always do. We always play the dozens. That's how my family talk. And so if you say you hurt my feelings, then no, respond to me by telling the person, or to me or whoever it is, by telling them this is the setting. It was on Thanksgiving 1963. At about 3:43, you had on a yellow shirt, I had on my red Christmas jacket. It's that one year that they start singing this song. You remember the last year grandma was here. So you scheduled it, you describe the setting. Then Dr. Daniel said, then you describe the behavior. You talk about what happened and describe what they did that offended you. Then you talk about the impact, how what they did or said or what happened impacted you, how it changed you, how it shifted your thinking, or how it made you really feel. So that's three things. You schedule a conversation, describe the setting. You talk about the behavior, and then you discuss the impact of it. Now, here is where everything shifted for me. Dr. Daniel said this. Now, everything after that is out of your control. After you do those three things, everything after that is out of your control. Now, he offered these tips. But then he said everything after the SB, the I, schedule, behavior, impact, anything that happens after that is out of your control because you share what you wanted to share. You said what you wanted to say. And now you're free. And I discovered that's where my problem starts. That's why I don't like having tough conversations. Because everything after the conversation, I can't control it. And my issue is this. Because Yardley, I am so willing, or I've trained myself to be so willing to listen and to hear. I wasn't always this way. To be so willing to listen and to hear and then find my offense in the conversation and then respond lovingly based upon my offense. My fear is once I share what happened, how you made me feel, how it impacted me, your behavior, instead of seeing it and saying, I was wrong, the person will come back and they will either have a rebuttal or they will justify their wrong. Not saying that I was offended, I'm hurting, I'm upset. Just listen to me. Just give me a chance and hear me. And if you offended me, then look at where you offended me at and say, you know what? You're right. Throw away everything else. Because this is something that I personally do. Whenever someone comes to me and they say I offended them, and they tell me about it, what I'm willing to do is, regardless of all the things they may say 33 things that I'm not guilty of. But that one thing that they do say that I am guilty of, that's what I lean on. And so therefore, I don't even bring up those other 33 things. I just discuss and share and lean on the fact, you're right, I did hurt you. I did say that. I did do this, that, or the third. I did offend you. And so it's my job to apologize and can we be better? Can we reestablish our relationship? Can we fix it? Can we grow together again? And I want people to respond the way I would respond. And if they don't respond the way I would respond, I don't want to have a tough conversation. So I discovered for me, it's not the tough conversation. It's the fact that the person or the people that I need to have the tough conversation with may not respond in order the way I believe they should respond. And so what happens? That means now I'm trying to control the narrative. I'm trying to control the story. I'm even trying to control them. And if things don't work out the way I want them to work out, then that means it's not worth it. That's my problem. That's my issue. And here's the deal. That's not even their problem. That's my problem. That's my issue. That's my ism. That's my schism. That's my frustration. That's my crazy. I don't want to have the tough conversation, not because they may not understand me, but because I can't control their understanding. And I have to come to grips with the fact that, hey, I can't control how people respond. But if I want to fix relationship and if I want to go through life and not be bound by my past or bound by past relationships, then I have to be willing to have tough talks, but not stop at the tough talk. Allow them to respond in order the way they believe that they feel and should respond, even if I don't like their response because they rebuttal or they justify it. Them justifying it has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with them. The glory of the moment is I was able to say and get off my chest how I felt. And whatever they do with it, that's on them now. My response to what they do with it is, okay, we can be friends or we cannot be friends. Or, let's just choose to walk away. But my issue is not that. My issue is they need to respond the way I would. Listen to me, hear me, and then say, I'm sorry. And that's it. I don't want to hear nothing else. Just say, I'm sorry. And that's not real, authentic life. That's not how real life works. That was one of the reasons why it took me until I was past 30 to have a tough conversation with my father. Because I knew he wouldn't respond in order the way I needed him to respond, because he came from a space that was different than the space I was in. And his space, well, he got to say whatever he wanted to say, but nobody else could say whatever they wanted to say. Only he could talk. And because he was in charge, because he was the bishop, because he was the leader. And so in my head, what was the point? What was the point? The point was I would be able to release. I would have been able to release. I would have been able to at least free myself and then give him an opportunity or a chance. And if that's the way he really was, then that's what it was going to be. But if it wasn't, then it just simply wasn't. But I had to give him a chance or an opportunity to either be it or not be it. But I robbed my father for so many years of the opportunity because I wouldn't say, hey, listen, man. Listen, Dad, you hurt my feelings in this, that, or the third. I wouldn't give him the opportunity or the chance to even say that, for him to even respond to it and say, you know what, you're right. Because I was ready for him to do what I was like, nah, bro. So we got to have tough conversations. I think you should have them because I know I need to. I got to go. YardleyGriffin, Yardley Talks. If you enjoyed what you saw and you like this content, you like this platform, do me a favor. Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube, YardleyGriffin TV. Subscribe to our TikTok, YardleyGriffin TV. Follow our Facebook, YardleyGriffin. You can even send the Cashapp, YardleyGriffin. Let's get this thing in. Let's subscribe. Let's build. Let's create more content together so we can help people. We can bless people. We can change lives. And we can do this thing. Yardley Talks. As always, I got to go. Peace.